to be just like it was.
No.
Well, that's because if I can't have you, nobody will. You'll be fishing for his guts in Lake Washington. I think you ran away again. You'll never come back.
The sun beats down on a Los Angeles diner where the smell of coffee and frying bacon fills the air. Behind the counter, a young waitress named Slim moves through her shift with practiced ease, balancing plates and trading jokes with her best friend and coworker, Ginny. Slim has spent years carrying tables and tips, dreaming of something more, though she has long since stopped expecting it to arrive. Then one ordinary afternoon, a stranger named Robbie slides into a booth, locks eyes with her, and starts laying on the charm a little too thick. Before Slim can even decide how to handle him, another man steps in. Tall, polished, and confident, Mitch Hiller leans close to Robbie and quietly informs him that the bet is off. It turns out Mitch overheard Robbie wagering $200 with a friend that he could get Slim into bed. Mitch threatens him, sends him packing, and then turns to Slim with the kind of smile that makes a tired waitress feel like the only woman in the room. To Slim and Ginny, it looks like a fairy tale meet cute. To the audience, it should look like the first scene of a horror movie.
Sorry to get in your business.
You know, I can't believe you actually said something.
Mitch is everything Slim has never had. He is wealthy, handsome, attentive, and he wants her. A whirlwind courtship leads to a wedding, where Slim's boss Phil, the closest thing she has to a father, hands them an envelope stuffed with cash. On the dance floor, her old flame Joe spins Ginny around, and Slim flashes a thumbs up like a woman who has finally landed in the life she always wanted. Mitch buys them a beautiful house in the hills. Slim quits the diner. A daughter follows, a tiny, bright-eyed girl named Gracie, and for a few sweet years, the picture is perfect. But every fairy tale built on a stranger's smile has a clock ticking somewhere inside the walls, and Slim just hasn't heard it yet. 6 years pass. The cracks begin small, the way they always do. Mitch takes a phone call and ends at the moment Slim walks in. He laughs and waves it off as a construction problem. One morning, Slim tries to pull him into the shower for a quiet moment alone, and he turns her down with a thin excuse about work. While he rinses off, his phone keeps ringing on the bedside table. Slim hesitates, then picks it up and dials the number back. A woman answers. The voice is warm, familiar, expecting him. In a single heartbeat, Slim's perfect life curls at the edges and starts to burn.
Hey,
She paged you.
who?
She confronts him that night, and Mitch performs the apology of a lifetime. He cries, he holds her, he swears it was a mistake. Slim wants to believe him. She has a daughter, a house, a life she fought for, and she is not yet the kind of woman who walks away. But the perfume of another woman keeps clinging to his collar, and soon his apologies are replaced by something colder. When Slim finally pushes back, demanding he end the affair, Mitch lets the mask slip for the first time. He tells her flatly that men and women have different needs. He is the breadwinner, he makes the rules, and then, without warning, his hand cracks across her face. Is there anything more terrifying than the moment a person you love becomes a stranger in front of you? Slim stumbles back, holding her cheek, while Mitch asks her, almost amused, if she wants to fight him. He's a man, he reminds her. It would be no contest. He announces that he is going to his mistress's house and will be back in a few hours, and she had better be there when he returns. Then comes the line that turns the marriage into a cage. Mitch warns her that he refuses to live without her. It does not sound like devotion. It sounds like a sentence.
Who are you calling?
Your mother.
What are you gonna tell her?
I was supposed to bring Gracie by tomorrow, so I guess I better cancel.
You know, love is a scary thing. How powerful it is, what it does to you. That's what happened here. I can't. I refuse to live without you. I think you understand what I'm saying.
The next morning, desperate for someone to anchor her, Slim drives to her mother-in-law's house. The older woman notices the bruise blooming on Slim's cheek, embraces her, and then asks the question that breaks something quiet inside her. What did you do, she wonders, to make Mitch react that way? In that single sentence, Slim understands that this house has been built on top of older bruises, and that no help is coming from the family she married into. Ginny urges her to call the police, to run, to press charges. But Slim balks at the thought of her daughter's father in handcuffs, and when she goes to the precinct under the cover of asking for a friend, the officer tells her the truth in plain words. Without a long paper trail, without proof that Mitch is a danger to Gracie, family court will give her almost nothing. The law, it turns out, is a slow door.
She could get a protection
It's a
order.
paper that says he can't come around.
Right.
What does she do? Throw it at him?
She calls us.
Is the paper good for the kid too?
There's a child involved? That's a matter for the family courts. He's a danger to the child. Miss. Miss.
That night at dinner, Mitch reveals he knows everything. He knows she went to his mother. He knows she went to the police. Somebody has been watching her, reporting back. He smiles across the candlelight and tells her, quietly, that he can make her life much, much worse. And just like that, the gilded cage clicks shut.
I want to be happy.
Good.
Slim makes her decision. While Mitch sleeps, she packs a small bag, lifts a sleeping Gracie from her bed, and creeps toward the front door. Outside, Phil, Ginny, and a friend wait in a getaway car, hearts pounding. But Mitch is awake. He grabs Slim by the hair, throws her down, and starts kicking her with the cold, methodical fury of a man who has done this before. Her friends hear the screams and break in, only to freeze when Mitch swings a gun in their direction. The whole rescue is one bad second from becoming a massacre. Then Phil does the only thing that can save them all. He scoops up little Gracie, wakes her gently, and holds her in plain view. Mitch lowers the gun. Whatever monster lives behind his eyes, he is not yet ready to let his daughter see it. The group rushes out, piles into the car, and disappears down the dark street, while Slim curls in the backseat realizing she may have a few broken ribs to keep her company on the road.
He knows where you live.
He knows where we all live.
Yeah.
A hotel turns her credit card down. Mitch has frozen the accounts. With nowhere else to go, she checks into a cheap motel, hoping to be a ghost for one night. But the phone rings in the dark, and Mitch's voice slithers through it. He has tracked her down. Already, somewhere just outside, his footsteps are coming. Slim grabs Gracie and runs out the back as Mitch hammers on the door. They sprint across the lot and barely catch a bus pulling away from the curb.
Los Angeles, Seattle?
Phil meets them later with plane tickets, and soon Slim and Gracie are in Seattle, knocking on the door of her old boyfriend Joe. Joe is good, gentle, and entirely unprepared for what is following her. The next day, 3 men in suits flash badges at his door, claiming to be FBI investigating Gracie's kidnapping. When Joe asks for a warrant, they don't have one, and when he reaches for the phone, they take it from him. They tear the apartment apart looking for Slim and Gracie, who are pressed against each other behind a closet wall, holding their breath. The men leave only after threatening Joe with a knife and slicing his couch open for fun. Hours later, Mitch himself calls Joe and promises him a slow, expensive kind of ruin. Slim listens to her ex-boyfriend's quiet, shaken voice and realizes she is a poison to everyone she loves.
You don't have to go.
You know that it is not safe for you if I stay here.
Where are you gonna go?
So she runs again, this time to San Francisco, to a man she barely knows. Her father, Jupiter, is a wealthy, womanizing ghost from her childhood who never answered a single one of the letters she sent him as a little girl. When she shows up at his door asking for help, he assumes she is just another opportunist after his money. With friends like family, who needs enemies? He sends her away with nothing. Slim and Gracie land at a quiet group home in Michigan that Phil's contacts arranged for them. She cuts her hair, dyes it dark, and tells her daughter that her name is now Erin. In a small, sunlit kitchen, Slim slowly remembers what it feels like to breathe. Then a thick envelope arrives in the mail. Inside is a letter and a stack of cash from Jupiter. Mitch's people, it turns out, have already paid him a visit, threatening him to keep him out of her life. The threat backfires beautifully. Jupiter may not be a hero,
Dear Slim, if this reaches you and you need more, leave word at my office.
but he is nobody's puppet, and now he is on her side. He tells her to use the money, build a real life, and call him if she needs more. For a little while, the world goes quiet. Slim rents a small house, enrolls Gracie in school, and pieces together a fragile peace. But peace is a luxury Mitch refuses to allow. Gracie is still a child, and a child wants her father, and one afternoon Slim drives hours away to a pay phone to call Mitch's mother, hoping for safe news. Instead, she hears that Mitch is filing for full custody. The grandmother gently presses her, suggesting Slim should let Gracie speak to her dad, just for a moment. Slim hesitates, her heart torn in half, and finally relents. The instant she dials Mitch's number, however, his corrupt cop friend Robbie is on the other end of a trace. And here comes the gut punch the audience never saw coming. Robbie, the smarmy stranger from the diner all those years ago, was never a stranger at all. He and Mitch had been running a long con on lonely waitresses, with Mitch playing the gallant hero who scared off Robbie's advances and walked away with the prize. Slim was meant to be a one-night score. Mitch just liked her enough to marry her instead. Their entire love story was a lie wearing a wedding ring.
Mommy's just a big dummy.
Joe drives out to Michigan to spend a single, tender day with Slim and Gracie, the three of them laughing in the kitchen, curling up on the same bed at night, whispering about a future that might still be possible. But Robbie is parked down the street, watching, taking notes. The moment Joe leaves, the trap closes. Slim walks into her own home and finds Mitch waiting in the dark like a wolf in her kitchen. He tells her, almost gently, that if he cannot have her, no one can. Then his fists are everywhere, and Gracie is in the doorway watching her father beat her mother across the floor. The little girl runs in and pulls his hair with her tiny hands, screaming for him to stop. Mitch shoves his own daughter aside without a second thought. That is the moment something inside Slim finally hardens into steel.
They're just gonna think you ran away again.
She triggers a hidden pepper spray watch on her wrist, blasts it into Mitch's face, and drags Gracie out the door. She slams a heavy lock she had installed weeks earlier, sealing him inside, and peels out of the driveway with her daughter sobbing in the backseat. Headlights bloom in her rear view. Robbie, he chases her through dark country roads, and for once, Slim is the one who knows the terrain. She lures him onto a low concrete bridge designed for narrower vehicles, and his SUV slams into the barrier and crumples like a soda can. Slim drives on, switches into a getaway car waiting in a barn, pulls a fresh wig over her head, and disappears into the night.
Let's talk. You want me to tell you what happened? First thing. Fair enough. Aaron is over.
I liked
And you are not the Queen of England anymore, okay?
I'm hungry.
What's your name?
I don't know.
Hey, Millie.
A lawyer in San Francisco delivers the next blow. Because Slim never filed police reports, the system now sees Mitch as the wronged husband and her as the unstable runaway. Worse, Mitch's lawyers are preparing to paint her as a drug addict, and the upcoming custody hearing, the lawyer warns her quietly, is almost certainly a trap. Mitch does not want Gracie. Mitch wants Slim in a courtroom so that he can know exactly where she is when she dies.
He can come to wherever you are and kill you.
For most women, this is the moment they collapse. For Slim, it is the moment she becomes someone new. She drops Gracie into Ginny's care, refuses to say where she is going or for how long, and disappears into a brutal training regimen. Day after day, she throws herself into Krav Maga, the Israeli self-defense system designed for raw, lethal close combat. She runs until her lungs burn. She fights until her knuckles split. She studies how a bigger, stronger man attacks, and she learns precisely how to make his strength his own undoing. She pays Jupiter a visit and asks for one last favor. She wants a body double, a woman who looks just like her, to plant in San Francisco as a decoy. The plan that follows is so meticulous it borders on artistic. Slim arranges to be tailed by one of Mitch's men into a department store, slips into a fitting room, and emerges as her doppelganger, who leads the surveillance team straight to the airport while the real Slim slides out a side exit. That night, she picks the lock on Mitch's expensive new home and crawls into the ceiling crawlspace, watching in silence as he beds yet another woman beneath her. Mitch, of course, is also cheating on his current girlfriend. Some men do not change. They simply find new women to lie to. The next morning, after Mitch leaves, Slim turns the house into her arena. She kills the main power, leaving only enough wiring for the lights she chooses to control. She hides every knife in the kitchen. She sweeps the rooms with a metal detector and confiscates every gun he owns. She plants letters around the house, written in her own hand, claiming she came to discuss custody peacefully, paperwork that will read like self-defense in any future investigation. She rigs a small device that will block any 911 call placed from inside. Then she sits down in the dark, breathes slowly, and waits. Mitch comes home. The street outside glows with porch lights, but his house is a black hole. He flicks a switch. Nothing. He reaches for his gun. Gone. From somewhere in the shadows, Slim's voice greets him, calm and almost amused. He grabs the phone. Dead. And then the lights come up, and there she stands, his runaway wife, no longer the trembling waitress he beat in their kitchen. He laughs at her. He calls her stupid for thinking a woman could fight a man. He should have run.
That's not gonna do anything.
You can only hit me when I'm not expecting it.
I mean, this is carefully thought out. You're not gonna murder me.
Slim moves first, fast and precise, snapping a strike across his face. He hits her back hard enough to drop her, and for a heartbeat, the old fear flickers in her eyes. Then she rises. Then she rises again. Every time he expects her to stay down, she comes back, and every time he reaches for her, her body knows exactly where to slip and where to strike. She mocks him for only being brave enough to hit a wife who never saw it coming. She tells him plainly that the letters in his house mean every bruise on her body tonight will read as self-defense. He is, for the first time in his life, the smaller animal in the room.
Can't you hit me again even once?
He lunges. He swings. He tries to choke her, the way he probably choked her in his fantasies all those nights apart, and she breaks his grip with a clean, drilled motion and slams him into a glass table. He crashes through it and lies still, bloody, beaten, unconscious. For a long moment, Slim stands over him with the rest of her life balanced on the edge of a single decision. Then she lowers her fist, picks up the phone, and calls Ginny in tears, telling her that she cannot do it. She cannot become him. But the universe, it seems, has already made up its mind.
I can't do it, Jen.
What do you mean? Slim, he'll come after
I
you
know.
and after Gracie.
I can't do it. I'm not a killer.
Mitch's eyes flutter open. He grabs a heavy lamp from the floor and swings it across the back of her skull, dropping her where she stands. She lies on the floor, blood on her temple, breath shallow. He limps toward her, lifts his foot to stomp the life out of her, and in that final inch of distance, Slim opens her eyes. She rolls, she rises, she throws every brutal lesson she has learned into one final exchange. He stumbles back from her assault, off balance, and a hard kick sends him crashing through the railing of his own balcony. For one long second, Mitch Hiller is suspended in the air above his beautiful new home, and then he is not. Slim staggers to the edge and looks down at the husband who promised never to live without her. He has finally kept his word. She walks calmly through the house, gathers anything that could complicate her story, and dumps it later into dark water. When the police arrive, they find a bruised, exhausted woman, a house full of letters in her handwriting, a husband who fell from a high balcony, and a long, ugly history that finally has somewhere to be filed. One of the officers crouches next to her and tells her, almost tenderly, that she is one of the lucky ones. Most women in her shoes do not get to be the survivor of the story. At a small airport, Ginny brings Gracie running across the terminal, and Slim drops to her knees and pulls her daughter into her arms like a woman who has just come back from the dead, because in every way that counts, she has. They board a plane to Seattle, where Joe is waiting with the porch light on and a quiet, steady kind of love. The three of them step into the house together. The door closes, and for the first time in years, Slim listens to the silence and hears nothing watching her back. The little girl who once sent letters to a father who never wrote back grew up to marry a man who promised to love her forever. He lied. So she stopped running, learned how to fight, and walked into his house alone. The fairy tale was always a trap. She just decided, in the end, to be the one who burned it down.